Today is my birthday, and the only thing that I want for my birthday, folks, is 400 likes. If you can smash that like button, that would be absolutely amazing. Let's get this thing started. In today's show for the Lions News and Rumors, we're talking about Terrell Williams, the Detroit Lions defensive line coach, the impact that he's making, and Dan Campbell is raving about him. Carlton Davis, Jameson Williams are battling each other, and iron is sharpening iron. We're going to talk about that. 5 cut candidates from all Lions. We're going to talk about those cut candidates. Is it legit? Off-season programs could be changing significantly after this year. We got to talk about it, and a couple remaining questions about our Detroit Lions that hopefully we can get answers here real soon. So first off, we're talking right now the Detroit Lions defensive line coach, Terrell Williams, and he's made a significant impact on the Detroit Lions, and it's really, really important to have that defensive line good because we've been bad on getting pressure on the quarterbacks, at least underperforming from the likes that we think. If you look at the Detroit Lions defensive sacks that we have got past season, it's not a lot. You had 11.5 for Aiden Hutchinson, 5 for Lee McNeil, and then it slowly winters down all the way to 41, and that is a lot less than we'd expect. And when it comes to the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell wanted to get better, obviously, on the defensive line, and he was talking how he is going to be amazing for the Detroit Lions this year and how he is going to be a significant impact. And even Aaron Glenn has given him lots. Says, I think they're best defensive line coach in the league. That's what he's saying, the best defensive line coach in the league. That would be epic if he can come in here and make a improved defensive line with nearly the same players of Aiden Hutchinson and Lee McNeil. Obviously, DJ Reader and Marcus Davenport. Can these guys take the next step? Well, maybe Terrell Williams can help that out. So I got a question for you. How many sacks do you think the Detroit Lions will have this season? Last year, 41. Put it in the comments below what you think. Let's get into the next subject, and that's Carlton Davis speaking about Jameson Williams, and these two going at it here. Davis says, he has a bright future. I love going up against him, Davis said last week. He has so many tools in the toolbox. Man, he can beat you running fast. He can beat you snap down. He's a threat in a lot of different ways, and where you're going up against a guy like that every day, you have no choice but to get better. And he continues on here. He talks about how that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to make him one of the best receivers in the league, man. Davis said, that's my goal, and that's for everybody. I go up against our team. I'm going to push them. They're going to push me back, and that's the competitive spirit I have been talking about. I absolutely love hearing Carlton Davis talk about this, and iron sharpening iron. That's exactly what we've seen from Penei Sewell and Aiden Hutchinson when those two battle it out at training camp. And now Carlton Davis and Jameson Williams. Iron sharpening iron. This is great. And I love when you have a cornerback on a team going against your own wide receiver. And these guys, not only are they competing, but we want them to compete. That's of course. But we want these guys to learn from each other, help each other out. What are things that Carlton Davis can bring to Jameson Williams that will help his game out? And vice versa, what can Jameson Williams do to help out Carlton Davis's game? You got a guy, a speedy receiver, so it's going to learn up going against fast guys, and who is a feisty DB, and that's what Carlton Davis is. He loves to fight, scrap at the line of scrimmage. A big guy like him can really teach Jameson Williams what to do to get past a scrappy guy like him, because he is a shadow and scrappy. So when Jameson Williams is going up against other cornerbacks in the NFL, he's been fighting against one in training camp for a while. So it's going to be 2 significant impacts on this, and I absolutely love the idea. Now, next up, we're going to be talking about cut candidates. All Lions Fan Nation, they given their list here, and the first player of cut candidate, they say Kyoto Owosika. Now, I've talked about him as potentially cut candidate as well. because the Detroit Lions invested in the offensive line, specifically the interior. Now, Giovanni Manu is tackle, but he can play guard as well. And obviously, we draft a guard in the 6th round, and they could be looking to upgrade the guard position. Now, in all honesty, I got to keep it real. I actually like Keiuda Osaka more than Colby Sorsdale. I believe that's just a little bit better in my opinion. Now, look, I know we drafted Sorsdale last year. We got to wait for development, and that's probably the most important thing that we got to wait for here. But in all honesty, he could be a little bit better, and I really want the best players on the 53. Now, if they decide to go Sorsdale over Owusaka, I understand it, but man, we'll see. That's going to be a fun battle to see. I got a question for you. Who is the most important player on this football team? Any player you can name. It could be Jared Goff. It could be Michael Badgley. Put the name in the comments below. Let's continue on with cut candidates here. Traquan Smith was their number 4 candidate to get cut, and I got to say, folks, I actually agree here. I don't think he's making the team. That is really, that's really it. There's a lot of other wide receivers. Isaiah Williams, right, that's competing. Antoine Green, that's competing for that final roster spot. Now, we got fight for number 3, but we're looking for the final roster spot. And Traquan Smith seems to me outside looking in. And I agree. Let's continue on with the number 3 player on here, and that's Zonovan Knight, 110%. When you get a player in Zion Vaki, right, and you already got Craig Reynolds, it pushes Zonovan Knight, Bam Knight, out of that spot. Because you already know that Vaki's making the team. We already know that. We know Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs making the team. Craig Reynolds and Zonovan Knight and Zion Vaki are fighting it out, but they're not going to probably remove the draft pick. So Zonovan Knight would probably be the outside looking in. Next player they have here is Kindle Vildor, and I 110% agree. Kindle Vildor, I like what he did as, coming in last year, but we really upgraded the secondary, and it's not his fault, right? Emmanuel Mosley, we brought him back, got to see what he can do. We thought we had a high ceiling for him, right? Then you bring in Carlton Davis for a trade, then you draft Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. It's got to push somebody out. Kindle Vildor absolutely could be that player. Last player on the list that they have here is Levi Onwuzurike, whom we talked about on this channel many, many times. And, of course, it makes sense that this guy is going to be on the outside looking in. You bring in DJ Reader. You got Makai Wingo. You bring in there. So the Lions' defensive line is in a very good position. And so it makes sense for him to potentially not make the team. Now, there's going to be plenty of players on the outside looking in, and it's going to change through training camp. And that's what we got to look forward to, is what the training camp's going to bring. Who rises, who falls. There could be some sneaky folks. Folks, there's some sneaky news here, and it has some pretty big news on this, and that's the NFL right now is working on changing off-season programs. Now, here is what Tom Pelissero said. The NFLPA is working to finalize a proposal to overhaul the off-season starting as 2025, eliminating voluntary on-field work in spring in favor of longer training camp ramp-up. With players reporting in mid-June to early July, NFL Network Tom Pelissero reported Tuesday, per source, they informed the plan. Pelissero and the NFLPA has consulted medical performance experts to create a solution to reduce injuries and maximizing player recovery time. Under the potential proposal, virtual classrooms work still is permitted in the spring, but no practice until camp. Now, that is a pretty big change if this does occur, and I got to keep it 100% with you. I agree. I think this is something they should do, because if you're trying to do player safety, giving these players rest is extremely important for recovery. And if they wanted to do virtual hangouts or something that's not physical, that's fine. Recover the body. If everyone does it, it's perfectly fine. And if you want to get workouts done and you're concerned about that, we already have a quarterback in Jared Goff who does workouts in the offseason with his players anyways. You can always do something like that. But for an NFL as a whole, I 100% agree with that changing in player health and safety and body recovery. So I got a question for you. Do you want the offseason workouts to change in 2024? Why for yes and for no? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All Lions Fan Nation continue on has 2 burning questions for the Detroit Lions for this offseason. Here's, who is the Lions' most important player? Now, for me, I think you obviously got to go with the quarterback position. That's nearly on every single team, unless you're talking about a quarterback like for the New York Giants who's not good, or another team where the quarterback is just eh. But generally speaking, the most important player is going to be the quarterback nearly on every team. And I agree with this because if you lose your quarterback, you're in a world of hurt. What do you think? Who is the most important player on the Detroit Lions? Let me know. Will the Lions target a safety still? Now, I don't believe they are going to do that unless there is an injury. They absolutely could. They got cap space, nearly $20 million to get it done. But C.J. Moore was brought in for a reason, right? That was something the Detroit Lions wanted to do, was to bring him in and use him more as a backup for safety, but more importantly, for special teams. And then you already got Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, and Afutu Melifonwu. That's a pretty good combination right there. So I am perfectly fine with the Lions sticking with those. But hey, maybe you disagree. But folks, we're dropping videos every single day. Okay, make sure you hit that notification bell, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the latest Lions news and rumors. With that said, folks, adios.